Happy holiday, everybody. Merry Christmas. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. If you listened to the last podcast, I mentioned that there were over 2,000 people in the world legally named eggnog, and not sure if anybody ran into eggnog. I didn't personally, but I thought it was pretty hilarious. But welcome to episode 4, the 2022 recap. Did that really happen? Well, yes, it did. It did really happen. 2022 was a pivotal year for luxury real estate, for real estate in general. I call it the elevator year. What do I mean by that? Well, think about it. At the end of 2019, the pandemic started, and we had this incredible demand for real estate all over the country. At first, it was, pretty much, flatlined. Everybody was like, oh my God, the market's dead. Nothing's going to happen. And we had the biggest bull market in real estate, in my opinion, in history, right? We had 2.5 years of just gangbusters. You had an 18-year-old get his real estate license and pick up the phone and sell a house for $10 million. Well, guess what? Those days are over, and we all know what they are. So now the real work comes in. But 2022, I think, is the year that the elevator got to the top floor. And I don't mean to say that in a negative way. It's the way you handle that top floor when the elevator stops. So the elevator's going up, 2020, 2021, 2022, and then ding, the elevator door opens. That was probably about May, June. How did you handle it? How are you going to handle it? Well, if you listen to the media and you listen to everybody that's, talking about the markets in the real estate market, you're jumping out of the window. It's over. Open the window. It's over. I'm jumping out of the window. Well, that's the way they want you to think about the real estate market. It's not happening. Obviously, I didn't jump out of the window because I worked at Bear Stearns and I'm still here. So the key is, how did you handle it? How are you going to handle it? How are you looking into 2023? Well, I look back and I say, you know what? This is a great week to reflect on the last 12 months because obviously things have changed in a way that I think is healthy for the market, right? The market needs a little shot every once in a while of good vitamin B, right? It needs a little nutrition because at the end of the day, the market's not over. There's always a game in town. Someone always has the appetite to buy luxury real estate, and there's always a situation where someone is a seller. So there'll always be business. The question is, how does that business look in 2023? And that's something we'll talk about next week on another podcast. But I think 2023, we're just getting back to normal times. But I think there is a conundrum right now in the market. Conundrum ages me, makes me look old. And I think that the conundrum is the gap between the bid and the ask of the seller and the buyer, right? So the sellers, a lot of the sellers in the marketplace are still are still on the elevator in 2021 and the beginning of 2022. I should be at the top of the elevator, and the buyer is at is the gap between the two is very wide right now. So pricing is critical, and so I think that will tighten up over the next several quarters. I think pricing is so critical in 2023, but I think that's what happened. That buyer and seller are definitely a majority of them right now are mismatched in the market. Buyer wants to pay X, seller wants to sell at X, and until that gap is becomes less widened, I think then you'll see things start to pick up. But if it takes 3 or 4 months to sell your house, to list it, and you have the right rock star representing you, because there's a ton of rock stars that are listening to this, you'll get it done. Might not happen in 4 hours, right? 4 hours. I mean, it's like going to the movie. It's like going to see the new Avatar. It's 4 hours. It's a long ass time, right? 4 hours to sell your house. Come on. 4 months, fine. So 2022 is this is a great week to kind of write them all down. What were your wins? What were your losses? What were your, kind of middle of the road stuff? Well, the way I look at it is you set things in motion. I set things in motion, plant the seeds that will grow. And what did you, if you're listening, take that piece of paper out. What did you set in motion last year, in 2022 that you think you will see benefits from in 2023? For me personally, I went to a conference in the spring at the Luxury Portfolio Conference, and I was invited to speak. So what does that mean, for this podcast? I set things in motion in 2022 because of that conference that I feel in 2023 will help my business. So think about the things that you were, the places you were at, the situations you were in to help set things in motion that will help your business in 2023. For me, I was fortunate enough to be on the stage with two rock star realtors. I was very humbled to speak with Gary Gold. Gary was as a rock star agent, been in the business 30 years. Gary is known for selling the Playboy Mansion, many other $30, $50, $100 million properties in LA. And he also just recently listed Muhammad Ali's estate. Pretty damn cool, right? And then I was on the stage with Luis Forbes, another rock star. And between the two of them, they've sold over $5 billion in real estate. Holy shit, $5 billion. To me, that's pretty damn impressive. But that was a highlight in 2022 that got me fired up and motivated to continue the momentum to build my business, right? I was just trying to figure out what the hell was I doing up on the stage with them. But apparently, I did a pretty good job and people liked hearing what I had to say, which I'm very humbled and thankful and fortunate. But what else set in motion from that conference, right? If I wasn't at that conference, I would have never met the founder of Agent Image that builds the best websites for luxury real estate agents in the country. And I said, you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to absorb the expense to build to build a new website. And now, because that was set in motion from that conference in 2022, I think I will personally in the business see the benefits of that website. It took them 4 months to build. And now I see the way that they can showcase your personality visually and your trophy deals visually. So for me, that was one of the highlights for 2022. So there's definitely things that you've done and accomplished in 2022 that you could use for leverage in your business in 2023. What are some of the things that happened that maybe were kind of shitty and you want to say, you know what, that sucks. I don't want to think about that anymore. But guess what? You have to. Things happened in 2022 that we might not like, may have happened in your business, but learn from it. Don't dwell on it. I'm not a dweller, right? I don't dwell. Things happen. Oh, I'm bummed out. I'm going to be fucking bummed out for the next 12 months. So no, it's not what I do. But I learn from things that have happened in 2020. Here's an example. I'm a very emotional luxury real estate agent, right? I mean, if I get fired from a client, it happens, every once in a while you get fired. There might not be. I think I was fired 3 times in the last 6 years, maybe 3. But you get emotional. I might even cry, right? I'm emotional. It comes from my mother, Loretta Nash. She made me very emotional. But I'll cry. I mean, I'm serious. You think I'm full of shit. I'm being serious. I'll cry over a listing. But this one I didn't cry over. I learned my lesson. Listed something beautiful, gave this seller 150% of my time. Unfortunately, the deliverables promised weren't there from the seller, but the house wasn't finished yet, brand new, but I went in at full force. I can get this done. Trying to sell an $8 million property or a $10 million property or a $5 million property that's crabgrass all around it and green water in the pool, it's a little tough. So I got the radio silence. And radio silence from a seller is the death knell. You're done. If somebody doesn't talk to you for 2 weeks and you're representing them in a sale, there's an issue. There's a disconnect. You're cooked. So when he went radio silent, I figured, here we go. Don't have the magic wand, gave it 150% of my time, but I got the silent treatment, and then you get the email, cancel my listing. Okay, no problem. I'll cancel it, even though I worked my ass off. So let's see who the next victim's going to be. And he's now on the 4th realtor in 12 months. But the lesson that I learned is to do a lean search on your client before you get the listing agreement signed. Because guess what? This particular guy had multiple liens, and I didn't see him because I just drank the Kool-Aid. I looked at the house. Oh my God, this is beautiful. I knew valuation. I knew that there was, a potential storm on the horizon with the changes in the market coming, which we discussed, and everything was great. And then the radio silence, and then I discovered all the liens. Oh my God. You get 4 or 5 liens from every contractor that helped you. There's a problem. So at the end of the day, I learned my lesson. I will never drink the Kool-Aid without doing a lien search on a seller. And if someone's listening that's thinking about listing their property with me, I love it, but I got to do the lien search because it hurts the buyer. It hurts my representation. So we'll put that behind us, but that was something that was super negative that I'm super emotional about still. And it was 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago, but it still pisses me off. Annoying. So we'll move on. So what were some of the wins, right? Everybody's got to look, and you got to take that trophy and you got to say, you know what, this is a trophy. I'm going to put it on the pedestal for 2022 and I'm going to leverage it because I tell people that all the time. Listen, if you have a trophy, be proud of it. It's not being cocky, right? It's not being humble, but it's being proud, right? Be proud of those wins that you had in 2022 and showcase them. Tell that prospect that you're meeting with in 2023 about your trophies, about the ones that you can shine and put on the shelf. And guess what? When you're done with their house, you want to put their trophy on the wall as well. That's your attitude, right? That's my attitude. And, and again, acknowledging the things that didn't work in 2022. It's important. It's so important. So, with that said, I think we can go on and on about 2023, and we have a great guest next week, and I think everyone will appreciate him being an authority in luxury real estate. But I have to, I've got a question, that someone asked, and it's actually from Montreal, Canada. Jake from Montreal, Canada asked, Billy, what was the biggest deal and the worst deal you did of 2022? So, I don't think there's a worst deal. There's never a worst deal. There's never a favorite deal. Every deal to me is my favorite. I love them all. It's fun. Every deal has its unique aspect. It has a unique story. It has a unique seller. There's unique emotions involved. And that's the way you have to look at it. So anybody listening, you know what I'm saying. And if you don't, these are things that you will adapt and learn over time. Every deal has its own distinctive qualities. So what was one of my favorites of the year? And again, they're all my favorites. I like to establish myself in a market where people say, oh, he'll never do it down there. And that's the Florida Keys, right? Oh, he's from Palm Beach. He can't come down to the Florida Keys. Guess what? I did. And now I'm probably the top 3 producers in the Florida Keys over the last 2 years. And one of my trophies this year, we put on the market for $17 million, which I call the trifecta. Because not only was it a luxury component, because luxury is in the eye of the beholder, right? You could be on a fishing boat and be eating fresh tuna. To me, that's luxurious, right? So luxury is all in the eye of the beholder. So this particular asset had an RV park, a restaurant that's been around for over 30 years, a tiki bar pull up, paddleboard to it, right? And a place to fuel your boat, little store. And it's a historical site. And, I said, I'll throw my hat in the ring. Became a very good, close relationship and friend to the owner. And after drip, 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 right, planting those seeds over the course of about a year and a half, he said, you know what, Nash? I think I'm going to sell this asset. And you're the guy. So, having closed one the prior year for $12 million, right? He was able to see that because that was one of my trophies. Again, if you're listening, showcase your trophies. That's what they're there for. So he got it. I listed it. And the marketing part of it and the branding part of it to me is so exciting. It's fun, right? So we did an amazing video. We did an incredible job. And we ended up selling this asset, which was the top sale in the Florida Keys for 2022. Boom. That's the way I roll. And that's the way you should roll. If you see something, go get it. Who cares? I mean, you're not farming on the street that you live on. I don't know what the fuck that means, farming. What? Networking. I network. I'm a networker. Network. Your sphere of influence. What is your sphere? What the sphere? Talking to the people you know that respect what you do. That's what I do. And that's what you should do going into 2023. Get it done. Don't let this, we're at the top floor of the elevator, people are jumping off, oh my God. It's all bullshit. So that was a win, which I loved, and I'm proud of that. And I'm going to carry that into 2023. And as far as losses, listen, I don't have any losses. I have things that maybe disappointed me, right? Things that have happened in, a bump in the road, a pothole that may need to be filled so it's a little smoother next year. But at the end of the day, I learn from all of them. And you should too, no matter what business you're in. You might be listening to this and you're not in luxury real estate, but you're an entrepreneur, right? And you're growing a business, or you have a business, and you're talking to some of your employees, right? To me, it's like, again, it's the same, right? We all have potholes. It's the way you handle it. If you don't, you've been on that street in Manhattan, right? Where you hit it and your fucking tire's ready to pop off, right? And it's still there year after year. Fill it. Make the road smoother in 2023, and I think that's a good message. So next week, we have an incredible guest. I'm really fired up for episode 5. I have someone that's very close and dear to my heart. He is an authority in not only real estate and luxury real estate around the world, but he's looked up to as a mentor as well. And you know me with mentors. So he is the chairman of leading real estate companies of the world, which has 130,000 agents. He also owns and is the CEO of the largest privately held real estate firm in the state of Florida, which is pretty damn powerful. He's also the CEO of the top 25 real estate companies in America. So I have him next week as my first guest, and I think it's going to go great, especially when you can hear his insight and forecasts for 2023, which I think will be very important to listen up to. And with that, I want to wish everybody a happy new year, and thank you so much for listening to this podcast, sharing it with your friends, and also giving me that 5-star rating and that great review. I very much so appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing everybody and for everybody listening in the new year. And if you want to check out my website, it's nashluxury.com, or on Instagram, nash.billy. Shoot some questions over, because I can't wait for the 2023 year podcast schedule and answering anybody's questions, and of course, helping them grow their business. Happy New Year, and I'll talk to everybody soon.